Alright, I'm back on my Shaman again, and I've gotten to level 25 now. I was kind of surprised that I got this far this fast. I really wasn't trying to power level, but I wound up just grinding out a bunch of levels, and here I am. And I've been hunting here for quite a while. I was probably level 16 when I came here, so I've definitely gotten my usage out of this zone here. But after leveling for probably, I don't know, I was in a group and doing just a very typical um, shaman-y type of gameplay, a lot of healing mainly. But while we were just little ways from wrapping up, probably like a half hour before we kind of broke up and went on, at level 60 Enchanter came by and cast Coadix Endless Intellect on us. So Coadix is like another one of those spells that kind of separated the um, players of classic EverQuest and EverQuest from Luckland going forward because Coadix was a game changing spell. It's mainly because of its duration. Basically, it's clarity, but it had like a 2 hour duration. I want to say at least 2 hours, and besides that, it was a 15-point mana regen buff. So basically, you could go to the plane of knowledge at any level and get hit by Coadix Endless Intellect from an enchanter, and you would get a huge mana regen buff for a very long time. And a lot of people just would not start adventuring until they got a shot at KEI. And KEI became. I completely understand why it was a divisive spell. But for me personally, I really liked it. I've had no issue about it, and right now I have no issue about it because I was just tired of playing the shaman way and lots of healing and playing support. And I got to level 24, and I got a new direct damage frost nuke, and I was like, I really need to work up my evocation. So, like to start out here, I'm only using Spirit Strike, which is the level 14 Shaman nuke. And after a while, I was like, whatever. I'm just going to use the level 24 nuke. But what my strategy was basically to root bomb, which was how I started playing EverQuest. Really, when I started playing way back when on live, I was playing a wizard, trying really hard to play a wizard, and I was doing a lot of root bombing. That was my way of leveling off and on. I preferred to group, but I did a lot of root bombing too on my own. And I never had Spirit of Wolf, and it was just I think it was all I did most of it pre level 29, and so just root, no Spirit of Wolf, and my wizard shield spells were all I had for defense. And so after I got buffed by KEI and I had crazy mana regen, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm just gonna do a little bit of root bombing. And root bombing isn't. This is by no means meant to be an instructional video or this is how the best way to do it because generally root bombing using direct damage spells is never the optimal way to do it. Everybody knows the shaman is a slow tanker slash um, root riding type of character. But because I had this crazy mana regeneration going, I figured why not? I needed to raise my evocation. I just needed a break, and that's all it was. I just needed a break from the typical shaman gameplay. So this is a hot zone right now, and I am sure ready for them to change the hot zones. But it's it's fairly easy to adventure, and you're close to um, the Nexus, which means you're close to the plane of knowledge. So you don't have a long walk. It's just I've been here a lot. It's a good zone up to about level 28, and it's easy to single pull. I've gotten multiple pulls. I actually had a Necro in my group earlier. I can't remember his name, but he was a really good Necro. He knew what to do, which spells to use, and occasionally I got an ad and he would fear it and basically solo it while I was taking care of the main mob. And I was playing my Shadow Knight, which I ought to get some footage of my Shadow Knight because it's such a great tank. Disease Cloud is just the ultimate time ability. But anyway, I just decided to do a little bit of root bombing, and it's fun. It's simple. Um, like I said before, my main reference for root bombing was doing it on my wizard. Excuse me. And how difficult it was not having Spirit of Wolf. And I just got cannibalized, and I got regeneration. So I can crank out tons of mana. Besides Key, I also got Aegoism, which I think it added about 800, maybe over 800 hit points. Basically, I've got huge hit points and lots of mana regen, so I could do whatever I feel like just about. But I just felt like root bombing as a way to break up the action, a little bit of the monotony. Um, just do something different. And like I said, I don't. Before anybody jumps in to say, "Oh, this isn't the most efficient way to level," I know it's not, but it's kind of fun in its way. And when you have really good mana regeneration going, the downtime is pretty minimal anyway. So why not use it? I do want to go over caster focus items because that's something I need to invest in for my shaman going forward. Because I already have one item. It's a Batfang headband, and it has extended enhancement too, which it adds. I think it's 20% increased duration to all buffs. Now, regeneration isn't included as a buff. It's technically a heal spell. I don't believe it benefits from healing improvements either, but that's not so much the point. But the extended enhancement was really important because the shaman is such a buffing class, and there's also caster focus gear for nuking. Mana efficient lowers mana costs. Nuking raises, or the destruction caster focus gear raises the damage of your direct damage spells. There's another caster focus effect called Burning Affliction, which increases the damage of your DOT spells. It's a random bonus to your damage. It's a random 1 to 20%. So it's not like a strict increase to your damage, but it was such a great feeling after it, and it didn't come out in Luckland when Luckland launched immediately. It actually, caster focus items were part of a patch that came in a bit later after Luckland launched. I think it was a few months actually after Luckland launched. It was right at McQuaid had left, and the developers had decided to really loosen up, and I totally supported them for loosening up. I felt like the game still retained its challenge. It just, once the world included the classic EverQuest, Ruins of Kunark, Velius, and now Shadows of Luckland, the world was huge, and I completely understood why they put the teleportation spires in, the soul binders. It just, it was mind-boggling how far out of your way you could be, especially if you're a melee who couldn't bind themselves. And yeah, I know how people are. I know the P99 is popular for a reason, and I completely respect it. But I also like this. it's, you know, it's just more content is the way I look at it, and um, it's fun in its way. It's just a different. It's definitely a different twist on EverQuest, but it isn't as crazily mud-flated as the current version of EverQuest is. Um, what else do I want to go over here? Basically, like I'm just surprised I've gotten this far on my Shaman because usually my interest level in the Shaman kind of peters out after a while. But I always admired Shaman because you watch them in a group and they're buffing and they're hitting cannibalizing and they're buffing a little more and then they're slowing and the slows are so good. It's the like wizards were nukers and clerics were healers and shaman were slowers. I mean, that was like, it's so powerful. I mean, at this level, it's not so great, but once you get, I think it's called Togor's Insects. I remember playing a cleric back on live, and the first time I had a shaman in my group casting it, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I can put away complete heal now. I don't even need it because the mobs were just like, it was like one hit every 10 seconds or something. I can't remember how it was, but I remember just being in complete awe. I was like, man, a caster could tank. But anyway, my goals going forward are to most likely get a ceremonial Ixar chest plate. Obviously, it's not as good as a fungi tunic, but I can actually afford a icky BP, as they call it. I'll get one of those. It'll definitely be a big help for mana regeneration and cannibalize. I'm not sure where I'm going to level after here. This zone is good till about probably level 28. Then I'm probably going to move on. I've been using a Shadow Knight as a tank and occasionally triple boxing using this Shaman, my Shadow Knight, and a Rogue for lots of DPS. And I'm enjoying the Rogue too. But so yeah, I'm just gonna ride off into the sunset and see where the world of EverQuest takes me next.